Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt, what's up, beautiful humans?
I have a little question for you. So, in line with our topic called Vision to Velocity, igniting a movement. Question is, have you ever felt a deep calling to bring something new into the world, to inspire change, or to light up others? Today, we're talking about how to turn that spark into a full blown movement, girl. Yes.
Do a movement. We're not
no,
we're not just talking about step aerobics,
no, no. We're
box
talking about
steps.
like gather some peoples, and let's get up to something, right? Get
Yeah,
up.
what is a movement? Let's start with the definition of a movement.
All right. Well, we're making this up. I mean, you and I, it's like, oh,
We are not. Kind of.
so it's a gather. What is it? AI one?
Sustained collective effort.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a gathering of humans,
Yeah.
like-minded, like values, like
Yeah.
mission,
Yeah.
and it's a sustained collective effort of said humans.
And I want to say, one of the things we'll talk about in the story and down the road is, that could be a project. Like the movement could be like, oh, we have a set. So like I created an event, right? And it was like that was one project and something else. But maybe those people lived on to, do other things together, but it doesn't have to be something that, the civil rights movement that continues on today, 100 years after it started. So a movement can be different lengths of time as well, right?
I think they can be micro, macro, all different sizes, shapes. It's like a living organism, really. And you can, hopefully, it sustains life, right? There's humans in it, and the humans are alive and they're participating in the thing. So there's a real energy to it. It's a real living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
And it can take on other shapes as it evolves and so forth. And you can have 10 going at one time. I can spark a new one just because I was inspired driving down the road and whatever. I don't know. It doesn't have to be like you're saying, this big, giant, outrageous, politically engaged, high caliber marching up and down
Millions
the
of
streets
people.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 totally. So, and I think one of the things you just said, which is like sparked by, right? So
Mm, yeah.
oftentimes I would say
Yeah.
movement in the context that we're talking about it is there's a spark, a something, right? And we were talking before we started recording, it can be a moving away from something, like you're motivated out of a pain, like fed upness, or it can be motivating towards, like, I want to get a group of people doing this thing together, right?
Yeah. I'm fired up or I'm fed up.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how I feel about it. That's usually what sparks for me. I'm freaking fired up or I'm fed up.
And it like something snaps.
Hmm.
It's a oftentimes a moment in time. It could be something leading up to it. You're like, oh man, fed up for a while. Or it could just be like, boom, it hits you in the head, like, that's not okay with me. Or oh my God, we should totally boom, right? Like create something. Like I'll share this is a mini thing, but I'm in this year-long leadership program and training program, and one of my teammates, he's created what he calls the summer of celebration.
Oh, that's fun.
That's his project for the summer, right?
I love it.
It's so
Okay.
good. Yeah. Well, he was going to do like this businessy thing or whatever. And he's like, wait a minute, I have a wife that's a teacher, so she's off all summer, and my kid is off all summer. So like me going and doing, I mean, he's like, I want to incorporate my family and stuff. So he's like, okay, this quarter it's about, he's calling it the summer celebration. It started with a kickoff trip and they've got these backyard parties that they're doing. But so like their movement is creating fun and affinity and love with new people and neighbors and doing things that light them up, right? So
Mm.
that can be small and maybe that grows. Maybe that seeds other people to, oh, I want to meet some new people this summer. And oh, I should, maybe I'll create a backyard party myself or, you never know.
That's interesting. With landmarks, so we're using the word movement, but they use the word game, or you
Yeah.
use the word game, right? So what's the difference, or is it the same thing?
So game is another word for project.
Okay.
I mean, outside of, we call them games in the world. So they're games that we bring out into the world of varying scales. I mean, some
Mm.
people have created, there's this one gal that is literally, she's never been to, I can't remember what country it is in South Africa, but that area of the world. But she is so lit up by creating water, sustainable water for people to drink and education and all this stuff that she has these meetings and she raises funds and she has grant money going to that. And I'm just like, she's so lit up by this, and never having
Wow,
been there, right? Whatever. So that's
that's
her
cool.
game in the world. That's her expression. I know one woman who's in the San Diego area. She loves children and she loves art. And so she creates these art games, events, if you will, and invites different people to participate. So she creates a team around it and they put on these events and like
Mm,
just lighting kids up around art that they wouldn't ordinarily experience. And so in Landmark, it's really whatever your spark is, right?
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
mine, we'll share ours. I want you to share your story, but my project, my game this quarter in the summer of 2025 is about it's called Come Alive.
Come alive,
Come alive,
people.
look out. Like even just saying that, I'm like I just like I feel like a champagne bottle. I'm just gonna like like something's gonna come out of that. And it was sparked by, sharing with my coach about I bought this motorhome 10 years ago and I just got into quote van life before it was van life. And then I painted her beautiful colors and she's just, driving down the road. I just love being in her so much. I'm like, I want people to be inspired as they see her to come alive in their life, to not just think that life has to be one way. Like it can be whatever you say it can be. Insert blank, right? Like you want a hobby that you have always wanted to pursue. Do that. Like take that thing on. You want to study a language, you want to create a business, you want to change careers, you want to travel, right? Like what makes that spark for you, that come alive, but you've been held back, right? And so the come alive movement that I'm engaged with is like sparking people to not settle, not, like I got fed up with the way my life was looking and I was like, no, right? And so come alive and do those things. The world needs more people who've come alive. That's my vote. Anyway, so tell me
Yes,
about
they
yours.
do. And you're going other humans who are out in the space floating around, right? Having their own experience or suffering or whatever it might be, will gravitate towards these movements because of the shared value system, because of the energy, because of the opportunity, not just to connect with fellow minded, shared values humans, but to facilitate change in their own life, in their
Mm.
own body, in their own brain, and in the world.
I, as you were saying that, what you and I have talked about this, like we're all vibrating electrons or, whatever. We're a frequency, right? Like we're literally energy and motion. And
Mhm,
it's like what I got when you started to share that was like somebody's attracted to it because the frequency of what I'm sharing, the energy, the what's turned me on, what's sparked me, what's lit me up, as somebody comes into that frequency, that hearing my message, that, oh, what is she talking about? I think that's for me. And some people totally tune it out, right? Like that's not the message for them, have no
mhm,
interest, but for those that are intended to hear on that same frequency or tuning up to that frequency, that it's like, bees to honey, right?
mhm, mhm.
So,
Tuning fork. I just got that tuning fork. You know, when you tang a tuning fork and it vibrates.
and then it puts it out into the world, and it's like, and things that are in frequency with it, they get tuned up, right? And so, and that's, some of where we were going to go with this is like, well, how do you start it? And I think it's whatever sparked you, me, us, the person that's listening to this, whatever sparks you,
Mhm,
like get in tune with that, get like have a listening for yourself of what that is and fine tuning it. Is it this? Like as I've been having conversations with people, refining and well, it's not that, it's more like this, like it helps me tune my own piano or tune my own frequency to it's this, not that, if you will, so that as I share it, as I talk to people about it, they are enrolled with it because they're like, oh, that sounds like something that I'm up to, or that I want to hear more about, right? And then it becomes this sharing and conversation with people, something that you're lit up by. It's almost like I'm taking this flame that, and then I share it in a conversation, and they take a little piece of it, and then they've got it, right?
mhm,
And you
mhm,
light up all these little lamps around you of people
mhm,
that come alive or whatever your movement is by a shared flame experience of, yeah, I want that too. I want that to be in the world as well.
yeah. Anytime I have started a movement, and I mean, I definitely don't know how, and we talked about this too. We don't really know how not to be these people. So there is this innate element to our personality that has developed over a lifetime of experiences. Obviously, we weren't necessarily born being like, hey, game on, motherfucker, let me round up all the babies in the Can you imagine? Hilarious. But as grown adult females in the space, it's just part of our, it really feels like part of our epigenetics, like our DNA, and then we just fed that environmentally. But anytime I've ever started a movement or been part of leading and facilitating and developing a movement, it's come out of my own experience, like what you're saying.
Mm.
My own experience was initially just an adulthood, like having a mental and physical health crisis, right? So out of my own pain and suffering evolved my own knowledge, seeking wisdom, seeking growth, personal growth, seeking healing, etc. And then, oh, hey, now I want to teach this to others. Oh, now I see the power of this in my own life and in your life, I'm witnessing. And so we need to spread this.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to spread it through a movement. We're going to grow a movement, whether it is, producing events for people to change their lives and build community, or, joining one of the clubs that I've, had where I facilitated that connectivity and the evolution of them physically, mentally, emotionally, or even now, like bringing collective groups together and still doing that in different ways, shapes, and forms. It obviously evolves over time. But
Mhm.
for me, generally, the root has been, hey, this was transformational for me. I have to share it. I can't not share it.
Mm.
I understand the power of this, the positive power of this, and it's a must for me to deliver that to the world. I don't know how not to.
I think what you're pointing on that before we started this, I hadn't quite picked up on. So I want you to insert here in just a minute the movement, what you're doing most recently, like this
Okay.
this event that you recently created. But let's step back, and I think what you and I forget is how long we've been lit up by things, and it's like, oh yeah, like when you started Race Slow, and that all of those the clubs that you created and all of that. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you didn't do it perfectly in the beginning, right?
Mhm.
You're like, oh,
I
let's
still don't. I fuck it up all the time. What are you talking about?
but it's like you would try something like, oh, let's get together on Saturdays and ride together, is probably how it started, right? Oh, and then like more and more people started showing up, and you're like, we should turn this into a thing or something, right? And then at some point you get inspired to lead an event or create an event, right? And I mean, I've seen you both be at the table, being at a panel, right? So being a part of something, and I've seen you also facilitate panel things or big massive events or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
creating context for conversations, creating context for community and engagement. And so you and I now have so much just experience in doing that, we forget the beginnings of this. And so it's like,
Totally.
well, why wouldn't you, and it's like, why would you not do it? Like we were asking ourselves, well, where does this drive inside of us to, like, we get inspired by something like, okay, let's create whatever, an event, create a movement, create a community, let's get this going, because we've had the experience of starting from nothing also. And I
Exactly.
forgot about that. I
Exactly.
remember the first events that I would put, I would teach small classes, and then I remember putting on my first, women's event, and it was an undertaking, right? Now I wouldn't shy away from it because I'm like, that was so moving. I see the impact that it had, the joy that I had in creating it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And even back further than that, the initial seeds of that may have come. You share your experience, but like with me, hey, I need this. Where's my people?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't sustain this work
Yeah.
called evolving, becoming of the self. I can't sustain it without like minded people who can fuel me, or
Mm,
I can fuel them, or we can be of service to one another, or we can just show, up for each other and be present. Yesterday,
mm,
I was just texting with somebody who's having a rough time, and it's like literally just, I freaking see you. I see you in the struggle, and I'm standing by, bearing witness.
mm,
Can't
mm.
solve that for you, but just being in the room
Yeah.
is like incredibly powerful and healing. Why don't, isn't that what the hell humanity is supposed to be? By the way, now I'm going to go on a rant.
Oh,
What are we supposed to be doing? Why are
well,
we all here? Damn it!
well, it reminds me, I know the time, what you sparked in me was, oh yeah, I remember when I came back from a Tony Robbins event, right?
Okay,
So go get fucking lit up like a
fire
candle,
top.
like a,
Walk over the coals
yeah,
on
like
fire.
walk up. And I can't even, if I had to think about how did this come together. So I walk did this firewalking event, whatever, first Tony Robbins event, come back, God bless. However, I connected with people. We created a Tony Robbins community and we met every other week for years. For years. We
Wow.
created that,
Talk
like,
about creating a movement.
yeah, it was our little movement of keeping that alive, like you talk about, right? And it fed us for, oh my God. So I just got a text from a friend who she said, this weekend I was, having some little quality, self reflection time. She goes, I pulled out one of my journals from when we used to get together. This was like 10 years ago. She goes, I pulled that journal out where I used to take notes and things that whatever. And she goes, and there was good shit in there, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
so good, right? And
That's
so,
so
so
freaking
this is the
cool.
scale of things. Like what about, from vision to velocity, igniting a movement. It's like we just want to communicate that it could be starting a little circle. It could be a little
Yep.
community run club. It could be maybe you got bigger dreams. Maybe
Mhm.
my Come Alive is going to go global, right? Like this is not just sustained
Yeah,
by me and a couple of friends. It's like this is a global movement that I'm up to, reaching as far wide as possible, because we're so connected, right?
exactly. And we'll get into like how to sustain one, how to join one, how to build one, or maybe we should just get into that now.
Do it. Do it.
Let's go.
Well, wait. First, tell them. Okay, so you
Woo.
shared your race slow experience. I think enough, or
I mean,
I
okay, so
want.
if the listener doesn't know, I basically created a business that was around endurance sporting events. And in that process, it started from my days of creating clubs, running clubs, a triathlon club, my own women's competitive club, and that was created from me just having a very small community of women that I trained them as a personal fitness trainer, or they trained with me, right? So these things, this is just a natural evolution. But Ray Slow, right, I had a vision of like, we've got to have bigger impact. We've got to show people what is possible for them physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, even if you will, by putting them through these experiences in a community setting, right? And it literally started out as just like this one small event. Hey, we're going to do a little bike ride, run around the park. Woo! I mean, I think there was 100 people, which now in reflection, that still was pretty damn good for starting from zero, into being thousands and thousands of people. There's 10,000 people at an event and there's 1,500 people just volunteering,
Hearing. Yeah.
coming to the movement that we created because of the vibration, what we stood for, who we were in the space, our value system, our shared mission,
Mhm.
and just the energy that facilitated a safe, really powerful space. We're
And then,
all hungry for it.
share your latest venture with the panel that you created, just so that we can put that in the space.
Yeah, and then recently creating a experience through REI. I'm an REI human being, and I brought together the 7 run clubs of the Coachella Valley. Some of them didn't know each other, no connection. The valley is very long. We're spread out. They're all different types of populations and demographics in these different clubs, right? But to me, we're the same person. We obviously love running for some reason. It's serving a purpose. Well, I believe for mental and physical health, movement is paramount. So I want to facilitate these groups meeting one another, connecting. So it was a class that we co-taught. I was the facilitator and brought together the community and the opportunity. So that's turned into a mission because through one event, the spark, right? Hey, do you see how we're all the same here? Do you see how we share the same values? We're on the same mission. Should we be collaborating with our efforts and energy? Oh, yes, we should. Oh my God, we're so much more powerful together. Look at this.
Mhm.
And just lighting a fire amongst ourselves, the leadership team of this group now, right? And the people whose lives we're touching. I mean, it's just exploded and it will continue to grow and it will have huge legs. There's no doubt in my mind it is becoming already something incredibly, the momentum is huge, but something incredibly impactful for this entire valley and all of the humans that we serve.
And it's
And it
like,
just starts with one idea.
yeah. And you didn't even have, I mean, you did some to bring these people together. You had the relationships. You thankfully have enough of a background and a vision, So the vision you had is like, oh, we should bring these people together. What the hell? Like they don't know each other, right? And you with velocity now, they're taking it, they're creating the connections. They're starting to weave things together. So it's not like Samantha has to be out there every day, gotta do all this stuff for my vision. Like,
No, because that's not sustainable. So I have learned the hard way many times too that for it to be sustainable, and we'll talk about that, it can't be one person.
mm,
Martin Luther King couldn't every day just be the one standing up in the fight. I mean, there needed to be millions of people coming behind this
yeah.
one human and carrying the
Lots of
torch.
leaders, lots of leaders. Yeah, it's not just one leader. It's a leader of leaders, like, yeah, it takes a village. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay, so that's what. How do you build one, Polly? I have some ideas.
I want to hear them because
Okay.
and they take on different shapes. My little let's call the mission with us as the Tony Robbins group. That's easy. It's just you create okay, when are we going to meet and create some we had little ground rules and
Mhm.
that's a smaller version, right? It's a collective of people that agree to meet, mastermind group, whatever you want to call it. We met at this time, we had these agreements, this is how we structured things, this is who led, we shifted those things. It's like, okay, great, off we went. And we did,
You're the
boom.
queen. You're the queen of structure.
I was like, all right, here's how we're doing it. And we did
Oh,
it.
girl, you are a GSD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clear vision and compelling why.
Mm,
Foundational.
mhm.
What the hell's a compelling why, by the way, Polly?
Well, it's a part of the spark, right? It's, if it's coming from something like this can't continue on in my world, right? So the why is you're motivated to adjust something, to transform something into something workable. Something's not workable in the world, and we're gonna make it workable. Or why aren't we doing this? Like, why doesn't this exist? Why do we have six different running clubs and they don't talk or know each other? We could be sharing, something like something bigger could emerge here or something.
Yeah, something is working at a small scale. Imagine if it were at a large scale.
Yeah.
Mobilize a team and a community. So you gave perfect examples of that, mobilizing that team. And I've given examples of that too. And then building the community.
And that's where I think people do get bogged
Stall,
down. Yeah.
stall.
I
Mhm.
think this, and I'm learning this too. So this program that I'm in with Landmark is about building teams and teamwork and stuff. So guys, it does take some, and it's all I want to say is it's all conversations.
Mhm.
Everything in team is conversations for enrolling them in the possibility, what role do they want to have, what would light them up,
Mhm.
seeing something for them, helping them see it for themselves, and then creating things that they want to contribute to and like one of the first things I said with my team, we had our team meeting, you and I and Jen, as a part you guys are engaged in my game, is what do you want to get out of this? Like what would light you up to get out of this and what would you feel good about contributing? And that's where, depending on the nature of things, some of these movements can be paid movements. You might, have money to raise for a grant that you're starting something or whatever. But oftentimes they're volunteer, right? And so
Yes, they are.
yeah, and so it's like I mean, you were so good at enrolling volunteers. I remember not even having met you, and I was like, what is this race slow organization? Everybody just feels like crazy passionate about contributing to it. So I volunteered one time and I was like, y'all are having way too much fun up in here. Okay, I am hanging out with y'all again, and that's what you created.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh.
It's so important, just to double click on one thing you said, that the people that you are engaging in for the movement, your team, your community, they need to feel heard, seen, and represented as well. Like what they are coming to the group or the organization or the movement for is just as important as why you created. And if you don't understand that, they will not stick around. It will not be sustainable. I've
Yeah.
tried to join other people's movements many times. I'm happy to facilitate that experience or be part of the solution or whatever the hell, offer my
Mhm.
gifts. But if you're not seen and heard and really felt and respected, I'm
Mhm.
out. Most
Mhm.
people will be out. It's not
Mhm.
sustainable. So that's really important.
And there's just that alignment. I'm thinking about people that will contribute at different levels, and you have to respect the level that somebody is able to or willing to and
Yeah.
can contribute at. Some people, whatever obligations they have in other directions, they can give X amount to this. I can be there on race day. right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly. Like
somebody
you're
can,
like, I will be there at 3 a.m. to 10, but 9, but then I gotta go.
yeah, and that's,
Copy.
yeah. And then there's some people
Full
that are like,
respect.
they want to be there for the whole planning thing. They're like, they're just like so excited to, be in the
Can't
program,
stop, won't stop.
be in the team. Like, "Yeah, let's do all the pre-planning thing, whatever." Like, and
Oh,
respect, and but
oh,
know that, and so.
know that and ask that. Take meaningful action, make progress, build momentum.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay. Don't be like, hey, we're doing this cool thing, and then I'll circle back in a couple months. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about in a couple months. I mean,
So,
a whole lifetime has passed by. There's no momentum. The energy isn't there. So it's one thing to have an idea, it's
mm,
another thing to spark that idea and fuel it
mm,
into momentum, to
mhm.
energy.
And I've definitely seen people that their spark creates enough of a spark in another person that that person just takes it and runs with it, right? Like,
Totally.
you don't have to be the head of the thing or whatever. You just create the spark, and maybe you nurture that spark in that person, and they're like, woohoo. Like, I have this client up in Northern California, and she's like, I want to create an art walk in my town, right? So
Cool.
she shared that with another person in the art world that, I forget if they owned a studio or something like that. They got totally lit up by it. And she's like making YouTube videos about it and TikTok, and she's like, all of a sudden they got the art walks happening, and she's making, I was like, you really enrolled her in what you're up to.
Don't let me forget to circle back. We're doing that in Moab, Utah when we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Copy. How do you sustain a movement? Polly, how do you sustain it? We did talk about it a little bit. I would say adapt and evolve. Super important. Like, dude, hello. If you think you're starting something and you know exactly what's going to happen, it's all going to go this way, and this is whether it's a business or a movement or even
Yeah.
your own, like, hey, I'm on a health kick or I'm on a this or whatever. Don't get overly attached to it being perfect, it going a certain way.
Mhm.
Results are mandatory, et cetera, et cetera. Those are
Mhm.
all limiting beliefs.
I think the
Evolve.
more the more people it touches, the more flexibility, yet
Mm.
clarity you need to have. So, for example, with our Tony Robbins circle, we're calling that a movement. The structure and the consistency was what held that in place. We had a commitment to that thing, and we agreed on those ground rules, if you will. We will meet twice a month for this many hours, and we'll do this, and we got value out of it too. That's huge, right? So
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
know your world, but like how I spend my time, there's value, right? So if I spend time with people, a group or whatever, like it's an exchange, right? So I
Exchange.
contribute and I'm contributed to, and that exchange was positive. So we continue to nurture and do well with that. I was just thinking the larger groups, hundreds to thousands of people that you may have, that one structure that we created, not all 1,000 people are going to be able to fit into that one structure, right? That worked for 8 or 10 of us, right? If you have something that's more bigger, you might need to pod it out into smaller little.
Well, with your Come Alive movement, this is
Mhm.
going to have many shapes and forms. It's going to have different levels, for sure. You got to
Yeah,
meet people where they're at.
yeah.
Some people might come into a tiny pod and they might thrive there and eventually move into a bigger experience, and some just might not, and that is totally fine. No,
Mhm,
no, no judgment at all.
mhm,
How do you develop leaders? So
mhm.
you're not the lone warrior out there trying to keep this mission alive. Whoo, that's exhausting. Dang.
Well, you're great at this. So how did you do it? I mean, like I've been in your leadership meetings where people were plotting out the race or the thing, or even I've been, a mission called Samantha's going to run the Moab 240 was a mission. That was a
That's true.
mission that you enrolled us in, and we're like, okay, this is kind of crazy, but like we had our little meeting, small, albeit or whatever, but it was like
Mhm,
you had enough clarity and you like empowered us to like, okay, you need to do that and this and that. And it was like, holy shit, what are we doing here? But
mhm.
so tell me how you did it inside of your
It really has to and can only come from foundational, connection and relationship. Like if
related.
I don't have relatedness to you and connection to you and real, like I've invested in this, you've invested in me, and not going to happen. It's just
Mhm.
not. Let's just be realistic. It's impossible to do it with strangers.
Mm.
That's why if you want to scale it, so
Mm.
like taking something small, Racelo is a good example of that, and scaling it, right? It was imperative to build those foundational connections very deep, deep roots,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm all in on building those relationships at a deep level, which is a big investment in all parties, right? And then building off of those. So once you've entrusted your team, we call it the A team, right? So you've got your leadership team, if you will, and you're building this right now with Come Alive. You then have to, and you've invested and you've made that, you have to then entrust them to move forward and make connections on your behalf, on behalf of the movement,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So now I have these 7 run clubs. I am entrusting and staying connected to them and giving them support in whatever capacity they need to move forward in the movement in their own community. I mean, some of them are an hour this way, an hour and a half this way. They're not like, I don't see these people every day, right?
Mhm.
But these beautiful humans are on fire for the movement that we
Mm.
have, created
Smart.
together,
Yep.
and they will move forward and facilitate that process in their own way, in their own voice, in their own,
And I think there's
style.
got to be some touches, not just like you to them kind of thing, like creating those leaders, but they have to come back together, like it
Oh yeah.
can't be this like, oh, see you next year.
Bye, bye. No, I'm saying quarterly for that group because we're pretty busy and spread out.
Yeah.
But in some instances, when the Tony Robbins, was it once a month? Was it, how often did
Twice a
you get?
month, twice a month. Yeah.
Twice a month. Damn. So it can look like anything. It can
Mhm.
be once a week, twice a month,
Mhm. Mhm.
whatever that needs to look
And
like.
it's situational, for the Tony Robbins, we were doing it was like, so for me particularly, I signed up for a bunch of his programs and they would happen maybe every 4 months or 5 months or whatever the frequency was. And I was like, so one thing I know about personal development, having done a lot of this work over decades, is um, you you go to a weekend, you go to a week, you do something transformational, right? You get a bump up.
Intensive.
Yeah, you get a bump up in growth in your mindset, the people you're around, you're like, holy crap, something new is possible, right?
Hmm.
I'd love to say that you just stay there, but we tend to regress, right? And so if you regress by not having a sustained group around you or something, you can regress and then you go back, in 4 or 5 months to that next thing and you grow more, but you don't. But I knew from, like I said, doing this for decades is if I grew and I had a sustained group that we could keep those lessons and the distinctions and the things that we learned. Like that's why I'm in this year-long program is like, I did a couple of courses in March of 2025. I have a year of these people around me. We're constantly, so it's not, I have no regression. And then I did 2 weeks ago, I did coaching at another event grew even more. And so I have a new level, new levels of distinctions, and I'm maintaining that and the circle around me. And so it
Hmm.
depends on the nature of what your movement or what you're doing, right? So is it a thing that you can like tap into and you just want a little inspiration for running once a week? Or is it like something you're deeply passionate about and you want to get up to something like maybe you guys are talking more frequently, right? Or you're meeting, but don't just let it's not just going to happen by itself. It's not just like,
No.
oh, great, we had this really rah weekend or moment
Yeah.
together at your REI event, and then it just goes quiet. No,
Hmm.
got to nurture
Yeah,
that.
because the struggle is real. I
Mm.
mean, for real. Like you go back into the real world. Let's just pretend that these are little transformational bubble opportunities for growth, right? Like you just go into the little bubble and you're like, wee, and
Yeah.
then you leave that and you go out into your everyday world, back to your old things or whatever.
Mm.
The sustainability element is going to be incredibly challenging if
Mm.
you do not do this with support, right?
Mhm.
And so, what I love that you touched upon that was really important is surrounding yourself with those people on a regular basis,
Mhm.
holding accountability to one another. With that accountability comes a tremendous amount of respect, compassion,
Mhm.
communication.
Mhm.
All of the healthy things.
I see
Healthy,
you. Yeah.
Yeah, not in a military, degrading way.
Mhm.
Like that's so toxic. I do see those spaces quite frequently, and I'm not a fan at all. So creating that and then developing some momentum because we're all going to have good days, weeks, months, etc. Life is going to continue to happen around us, but
Mhm.
how are you going to really level up the game here
Mhm.
and go to the next level if you don't keep pouring fuel on that fire, on that bonfire?
You know what this reminded me? I don't. I was recently re-engaged. So I played volleyball a lot. High
Oh,
school,
yeah.
college, into my 40s. And I was recently re-engaged with the local university, Cal Poly's university volleyball team, right? And what you just said reminded me of something. So if you think about the amount of training, so like think of any sport has a preseason, right? You have this get in
Mm-hmm.
shape period where the team is training together for something, like whether it's weeks or months to have their first
Mm-hmm.
event, transformational, whatever. So they go to that thing and they play real hard and they, win, lose, whatever, learn. Then they come back to their team and they're practicing and practicing and practicing. And then they have the next tournament, right? Whatever weeks, how, and so the growth path of a athlete, let's say a university athlete over a year of being on a team, going to tournaments, practicing with the team, workouts, working with their coach, like the
Mm-hmm.
growth is noticeable, right? And I think we get out into our life and the world and we lose track of that model.
We forget that model works.
Yeah, so like for me, when I look at this, so this is a communication course. It's called a team and development, but it's about practicing the communication skills, right? That they
Mm,
teach in these programs through a team model. Long story, but anyway. So it's like my study, my mastery over a year of, we get together 5 weekends a year, right? We talk about what were the distinctions break. Like last night, I was getting coaching from this someone who's in the second year of this program, and she's like, what about this? And I'm just sitting here going, so much training and development. It's like,
sponge.
it's just, constantly having amazing listening and eyes. And it's about communication, someone listening for me, like a coach, if I was on the volleyball court, seeing me swing or hit or bounce a ball or pass a ball or whatever, right?
Dude, we do this in business coaching all the time. I thought of two different scenarios while you were
Yeah.
explaining this.
Yeah.
A bit that in a business setting.
Mhm.
And so right now, you and I are about to work on a business project together that I've been part of for 5 years, right? So the progress and the development and the transformation has been unreal, but
Mhm.
we're a little bit of a stagnant place and we need to facilitate some growth and movement for this
Mhm.
business and these business owners, right? So we're going to change the game,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? We're going to, out of respect, take all of the knowledge, wisdom, and experience we've just spent developing and be like, okay, what's working, what's no longer working. We're going to break a freaking ceiling. It's time for us to bust through the ceiling. Same with right now, I'm thinking of also in comparison on the physical athletic side. I've got this athlete who is now an adaptive athlete, has come down with a disease, still wants to compete in CrossFit. And so we're building a plan for the next year for this human to show the hell up at the friggin' adaptive CrossFit games. And I'm not just talking about show up and participate. We are talking about winning their division. Like
Mhm.
this is a real thing for
Mhm.
an older female to have this opportunity. And so there's again, it's a layered approach of how are we going to do this, right? How are we going to build upon the knowledge base, the experience, what we know to be true today? But
Mhm.
it's the rules of the game have changed, right? So we need to adapt to that and
Mhm.
rise to frickin' meet that, and not just meet that, but crush that shit. Come
So
on,
it's the
people.
vision, starting with the vision is like something either,
Compelling vision.
yeah, something was either like, your business that you're talking about. It's like, it's not where we want it to be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost like the moving away from like, we could do better, right? Like we know that more is possible.
We've still got the compelling vision out there for in both of these instances or all three of these instances.
Mhm.
The vision is still there. It's just the path is changing. We're
Mhm.
having to navigate this differently than we would have done a year ago, 6 months ago, even.
Yeah. And so I think with your movement, it's like, you have something sparks you, whether it's disdain for how it is or how it's been, or inspiration for where you want to go, and you're just lit up by, oh, I want to do that thing. And
Fueled up or fed up, fueled up or fed up.
mhm,
Everybody listening is either fueled up about something, I mean, sorry, fired up about something, or fed up about something.
fired up or fed up. Yeah. And so get in action, get some people around you, start having even if it, you know what, even just sharing it with a couple of people, and you know who to share it with and who not to share it with. There's people that, aren't going to have any listening for your dreams and things that you want to create in the world. So share it with those that do. And if you don't have those people, that's step one. Okay. Get those people out of your life. like, like I have no people in my life that if I shared something with them, they're like, why would you do that?
Mhm.
Like,
Sounds so dangerous. Sounds so
yeah.
risky.
Why would you do something more than your own?
Ah!
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, Nina.
Hit the eject button. Okay, before we close this, how do you join one? Maybe you don't want to start one. You
Totally.
want to join one. Hells to the yes, people. First
Totally.
of all, join us.
Mm,
You're about to put out into the world an opportunity to join the Come Alive movement. So, you can follow us, join what we're up to. We've got opportunities.
yeah.
I would say a few things. Research what's going on around you if you want to do these things in person, which I am a
Mhm.
big fan of. Reflect and align with your values. So once you're doing research, you should have clarity first before you go looking to join.
Mhm.
What are my values?
Mm,
What am I looking to accomplish? What kind of impact am I looking to have? Like, have some reflection and clarity there.
yeah.
Create some goals for yourself, right, around that impact, around that mission, and then volunteer and show the hell up.
Get up to something. Yeah. And don't
Let's.
expect it to be easy, convenient. It's like,
It might
expect.
not even be the right fit the first time.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. And, just for gosh sakes, allow yourself to be contributed to. One of the things inside of this teamwork program that we do, there's opportunities to, let's call it volunteer, like, oh, take on a leadership role in this or do that or whatever. And I see people who sit on the sidelines because they're like, wow, that just looks like a lot of responsibility, or, oh, that's going to take all this time. And I'm sorry, but after I started leaning in and stepping up, the so I did that coaching 2 weeks ago for this program, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this for my team, and I'm going to contribute and be a great coach, and help the people that are taking these classes out and stuff. Girl, I got so much out of it. Like a when you have to get to the level where you're coaching someone else in something. So, like, I'm turning around now and sharing and coaching people in the things that I learned back in March. You better believe, like, I've been practicing and, in my own communication, knowing,
Mhm.
oh, okay, and being able to see things and spot it. Like, I'm like, and so, like, it's teaching me back in my own listening. I know this stuff. Like, oh my God, I have learned a lot. I have come a long way. I can now see it in them, and I don't do that anymore, right? Like, I did that 6 months
Yes.
ago. I can see it clearly when someone's doing it, and I'm not doing it any longer. Like, oh, so you have no idea when you raise your hand, step in, lean in, do something, how you're going to be contributing. You think, oh, I'm going to show up. Like, the amount of joy okay, here's another little anecdote moment. So I was volunteering at your race. There was a marathon in Slow, and got there early in the morning. And I can't remember exactly what. Okay, so here's what I remember is I went to the race first thing in the morning. Everybody's all a little goofy, nervous. There's like that like pre-race start energy, whatever. And as a volunteer, like, it feels so good to just hold space for those people, to just be sort of running around, got to pee, forgot their thing, just like the
Mhm.
calming space for them to be like, what happens right before, and then they go, right? And as I reflected, as I drove away after that morning, pre-sunrise, I think I got there like 4 a.m. or whatever the hell time we
Oh, I'm
started,
sure you did.
right? And then we did this thing, and then I'm driving away hours later, just so full up. I went home. I was like, I got to get back in that race energy. I forget
Mhm.
what I did. I went home and I signed up for
Registered for
something.
something.
I signed for something. I was like, oh, I want to feel that, that race energy that they had. I was on the sidelines watching them, and I wanted that for myself. And that got me into something. I don't remember what I did out of that, but that's
Exactly.
where I just was going there to contribute, and I got so contributed to.
Hmm. Hmm. I want to touch on one little sensitive subject that many times what I see and bear witness to or hear from other people is, you know, I can't really make a difference or we can't really have impact.
Mm,
Oh, hell no. First of all, you told the wrong person that. But besides that, it is the biggest line of bullshit that a human can convince themselves of. First of all, it's there's nothing true about it at all. Everything changes. Change is the most thing. Impermanence is the biggest truth there is.
mhm,
And the only way things will become different, you, your circumstances, your life, your community, wherever these things are firing you up or you're fed up about, is by creating movement, energy
mm,
towards the shift.
mm,
And
mm.
whose job is it if it's not yours?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
And I think people forget how when they take themselves somewhere and they're with another human being, they're already a contribution.
Mm-hmm,
There's something
mm-hmm,
like I had this coaching buddy for this last program that I did, and I would say something that just felt so small to me, and she's like, "Wow, that really contributed to me." And I was like, I didn't
cool.
I didn't know that that would contribute so much to something, and
Mm-hmm.
we lose track of because we don't often hear it. Not people aren't as great at vocalizing that. I'm in a
Eating that.
communication course, so yeah, no, this person's very good at vocalizing things like that. So I'm blessed to have heard that back. But
Mm-hmm,
you just bringing you to wherever you go that you're lit up about,
mm-hmm.
you're gonna make a positive impact somehow, right? Like if
Right.
that's something that moves your heart in whatever way, if you're licking stamps to send out mailers for something, if you're holding a sign for something, if you're like me, like just holding space and filling toilet papers in the restrooms at the race start, it was like it was a little thing that I could do, but those people that was important, whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
Good
Exactly.
stuff. Good stuff. What's our one thing? What are we? How do we summarize all this? What is the one thing?
The one thing for me is just start. Like,
Mm,
don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze. Don't naysay to yourself or others. Don't create the unworthiness, cycle and powerlessness cycle. Like, don't
mhm, mhm.
just begin today.
And I think I would echo that by saying, like today, like emphasize
Today.
the when you have something that sparks you, what happens is oh, I'll get to that. And then we wane, right? And then we pick it up again because we're reminded, like, that's freaking important to me. And the
Yeah.
regret or the lost time or the loss of impact that we're having in our life being contributed to or contributing is because we've I made other things a priority. And it's like, no, if this moves you to something, get away from, get out of something you're fed up with, or get inspired to lean towards and you're fired up about, just do it. Take a little action. Don't have to
Right now.
make it perfect. You don't have to be the leader, sure, but like get in action, raise your hand, look up something, volunteer, whatever, and just see where it takes you. See where it takes you. Yeah.
Start the movement.
And conversations, I would say, and sharing it with your friends and family. If there's something that you can't not contribute to the world, just telling people that you care about, just so that they have listening for you, so that they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's important to you. Like I'm sharing about this trek I want to do in Nepal. It's like people know, okay, Polly's going to Nepal. She wants to do these tea house treks. Okay, like I'm just putting it out into the
And
world.
now we're going to deluge you with information about Nepal and all the things. And I'm going to get you, what pack and equipment do you need? Yeah, start going.
And it's beautiful. It's like when I
Oh,
started Ironman, I was like, oh, the people that were out there to support me and came around, for this and that. And oh, I heard you're doing an Ironman, whatever, right? So now I'm like, I'm going to Nepal. Okay. I've never been to Nepal. Okay, what the book, and just having that out in the world and listening for people, like whatever your movement is, my come alive as I begin to share that and formulate that. It's like
yeah.
people have a listening for that for me. Okay?
And Come Alive is, you should close with that. What is Come Alive, Polly?
Well, Come Alive is a growing community. It's going to be an online community. It's going to be in-person community events, portal, if you will. It's about bringing people together, like I said, that are lit up by something that they've been putting off and they're not willing to, and something has stopped them in the past. Something, some thought, oh, I can't, some consideration, whatever it is, and they're no longer willing to put that off. And then having it in community, having it with other people, having my years of transforming from not doing something, to doing something, not going on, in my RV and then going in my RV for the first 90 days or going international or, you know, stepping out and starting a business, right? Whatever it is, it's having that community.
Support, resources,
Yeah. Resource.
connectivity,
Yeah.
and
To,
energy. Basically, it's a place to come to eat,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
feed yourself.
It's like, oh, these people are like me. They see the world the way I do. They're not willing to have this be their life anymore. It's like, and it creates a context for people to have shared sense of values, like that Tony Robbins group, right? It's like these people were like-minded like me. We want to grow ourselves. We thought the material from Tony Robbins was, great for our personal development. And we surrounded ourselves with other people that thought like that. And we brought it into our life. And then we came back together and, we'd have moments of breakdowns and then breakthroughs and go back into life, and so this is a circle that you come to where you get fed and nourished and that aliveness inside of you is allowed to breathe into
Mhm.
your life. It's like, okay, great, I can do this. It's no longer about, God, I wish I could. It's when is this coming about? It's coming about, you know?
I'm laughing because I just got a visual of it being an oxygen bar.
Like,
Are those a thing anymore? You're literally coming for oxygen. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Because then you go back into your life and you're like, all right, this is happening.
Ah,
It's not just, life as the same and living with that regret or that shoulda, woulda, coulda, I wish someday. It's like, no, I'm in a community that I'm seeing somebody doing something unusual. Somebody's created their possibility and then they did it. Oh my gosh, if they can do it, I can do it, right? And so we feed off of each other of this sense of impossibility becomes possible and then it becomes probable and then it's done, right? And then if you can do that thing that had stopped you in the past, what else could you get up to? What else that you would like to come alive to? And I find that once you take those first steps, you come alive by that, like even just getting in the motion of it, right? Like,
mhm,
let's say this
mhm.
Nepal trip was something that somebody else had on their bucket list, never done it, whatever. And it's like, oh, I wish I could really do that, but X, whatever. Can't take 2 weeks off work, 3 weeks, my family, whatever.
Yeah,
Once you do that one thing, you're like, what the hell else have I been putting off? Right? And you're not willing to.
exactly.
Yeah. And look out, you're
Oh,
just going to catch on fire, all of it. Come alive in
when
all areas
when
of
is
your
this
life.
when is this going to be happening? When are we going to learn more about this?
Well, Come Alive is coming alive this summer, right? So
Okay.
I'm building it right now. So this recording is in July. So it will be live this month. People can check
Oh,
that out. Yeah. 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 And
I
then
see.
Nepal is the fall of 2025.
Okay.
So dates to be determined, but if you're interested in it, come join me. Come join me.
I love it. I
Have
love it.
fun.
All right.
That's
Well,
fun.
let's close this thing out.
All right, lady. What do you
Let
want to
people go on with their movement.
get into it?
To
So, what is one thing that you got out of this that you can't quiet inside of yourself? There is something that you listen to this point. What is that thing? What is the one thing that you can do about it? Just one thing. Make a phone call, share it with somebody. Like, oh, I listened to this podcast and it reminded me of this thing that I really been wanting to do. Share that. Talk to them about it. Okay, Mike.
today.
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 All right. Well,
Why? Because how your life feels is more important than how it looks.
yes. And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.
All right. Love you, lady. Bye, y'all.